This video is being made to demonstrate the use of nested if statements. I'm taking input, which is an integer, and I'm determining whether that input is a positive or negative integer, odd or even. The program uses the scanner class to get my input, but that's not what this video is about. After you've created a scanner object and used it to get your input, the variable number is being used as part of the condition in this first if statement. The if ask simply is the number equal to 0. It's a case I want to dismiss right away. It's kind of a unique case. If the number is equal to 0, then the very next line will be executed immediately. So that print line will be executed if it evaluated to be true, the number equals 0. Otherwise, it's going to read this block right after the word else. If that initial condition is not true, it will read this block starting with the if. If the initial condition is true, it will never even read any of this code. Skip right over it. So having made it to the else part where the number is not 0, I'm going to now ask if the number is greater than 0. If the number is greater than 0, then it's positive. If it is positive, then this block of code will be read, starting with the if. If it's not positive, then that block of code will be completely ignored and it'll go straight to the else block to be executed. So once again, the else will be read and executed if this condition number greater than 0 is false. The green block here will only be executed if that condition is the number greater than 0 is true. Once you've determined that the number is greater than 0, we read this next if statement, which is on the third level in. We have 3 levels of ifs. The first if determining whether or not the number is non-zero, and then the next if determining whether it's positive or negative. And finally, I want to know, is it odd or even? I'm asking, is the number odd? If it is odd, then this block of code or this line will be executed. If it's not positive, if it's not odd, then this block of code will be executed. So once again, you're making a binary decision at each case, true or false. The first part following the if will be executed if it's true, the part following the else if the condition is evaluated to be false. My way of determining that the value is odd is by using the mod operator. Number mod 2 equals 1 means that it has a remainder of 1. If you divide the number by 2 and there's a remainder of 1, it's odd. If there's no remainder, then it's even. So when that statement is true, I'm going to evaluate the condition is true and execute the code, which is the print line, odd and positive. The last part of code down in the purple box works exactly the same way. We've already determined that the number is negative. That's why we made it to this else. The number is not positive, and now we ask, is it odd or even? Odd, true, execute that code. If odd is false, then you're going to execute the code underneath else. Notice that the indenting of the ifs and else make this easier to read, and you should be trying to do the same thing in your code to make sure that it's easy to match up the ifs and elses that go together by looking at the indentation. So what you have is a series of decisions. Each one is a binary decision, true or false. If it's true, I do one thing. If it's false, I go somewhere else. Once I've reached the second level, I have another decision to make. And if it's true, I go one way. If it's false, the other. This has 3 nested ifs, where on the third level, I know that the number is non-positive because I got to this else. I know the number is greater than 0 because I stayed in this green block. And here, this last if, I'm dealing with a non-zero positive number and I'm determining the last characteristic, is it odd or even? The logic that goes behind this system of nested ifs can be demonstrated with a little tree diagram. First decision you make is the number 0 or not 0? If the number is 0, then you've reached a dead end. You execute that code. If the number is not 0, we have more decisions to make. And my first decision was, is it a positive number or is it not positive? If it is positive, I want to determine if it was true, if it was odd or even. Odd or not odd. If it was odd, I ended up right here. If it was not odd, I ended up using the else statement right there. The same is true for the last half. You make the decision after you've decided to go to the else, that it's not a positive number. You still ask, is it odd or not odd? Odd corresponding to a true statement that the remainder of this division is equal to 1. Not odd corresponding to a false statement where the divisor is evidently not 1. That's it. That's how nested if statements work. Hope that helped.